Seriously, that's the one original trilogy reference that's not in the movie, Joe. What's wrong with you?
Hi, everybody. We're Geek to My Nerd.
And we're here with Solo, a Star Wars story.
Yeah, you're the one in charge of all this stuff. But this is part of our...
From Rebellion to Resistance, a Star Wars retrospective.
This one is a current perspective?
Yeah, I guess current perspective, although it's in the past, so it's kind of the pre-Rebellion-ish area.
Yeah. We have a big group.
Yeah, because we named this series after the release order, not like what happens in the actual chronological timeline, because, you know, some of us like to forget that 1999 through 2005 didn't happen.
Welcome, Billy. Thank you for joining us for this video. We'll keep an eye out for other people joining the chat as well. Billy says he's going to take a random guess, see if our favorite character was Lando. You know, it's really hard to say. I do have a favorite character, though. But they were all fantastic. So, where do we start with?
All right.
Do we switch back to our thing?
Yes. So organized. I need L37, whatever her name was, LL something.
L337.
Whatever, it basically spells Leet. So yeah, we're going to do like a quick spoiler-free overview, and then after that is total spoiler territory. Because, you know, that's just how we roll.
Yes.
We'll talk about our gripes and our likes. We've also chosen some most important scenes, and then the best and worst original trilogy illusions, because there were so many illusions or foreshadowing, however you want to look at it. There were references.
Yeah, and to keep this reference train going, I'm so glad we did this. I'm so glad we did this video reference.
Yes.
Bring out
Yes. Yeah. Totally. Everybody got that.
I know. Billy loves Lando. I could see it, but we're gonna talk about. We'll get to that after we get through the nit and gritty.
Yep. All right. So this movie was released last week on May 25th, which is the 41st anniversary of Star Wars coming out in limited release back in 1977. This was directed by Ron Howard, and he took over after, I think, 70 to 80% of the movie was done. Lord and Miller were the original directors. There was a disagreement about how things were going, and he basically, I think, reshot like almost the whole movie. So real interesting to see like what was theirs, what was mostly his.
Yep.
Of course, it opened at #1, although it could have not happened depending on some of the other movies that it's still up against in the summer box office. The budget was $250 million. The domestic opening was $103,016,812, which was projected lower than what they thought it would be.
Mm-hmm.
And its total box office worldwide is $172,697,257, which is pretty low compared to other Star Wars openings. So there's a lot of speculation about why that happened, and we'll talk about that kind of stuff in a moment.
It's probably not just one thing either.
Oh, there's definitely a lot of factors, but this is basically a prequel chronicling young Han Solo's journey into becoming a smuggler, basically.
Literally.
Yeah, apparently he had always had a criminal lifestyle, but then this kind of leads him into getting into the big time and meeting some of the more famous players in the Star Wars universe, mainly Chewbacca and Lando Calrissian, who are the original trilogy characters in this. You speak Sherwook?
Just a little bit.
It was an elective?
Well, in high school, yeah.
I mean, we went to the same high school. I don't remember that being in the course catalog.
Well, you took useful classes.
Like Spanish?
Yeah, exactly. Billy says, box office is really disappointing. I have to agree. I think this movie deserves a little better.
Yeah, and I wonder why they didn't go with a December opening like the other ones. I don't know if they're capitalizing on the anniversary or if they thought it could stand up against Infinity War and Deadpool and everything. Who knows?
I think that would have only helped it a little bit. I think there's a lot going into why, like I had said earlier, a lot going into why this is not doing as well. And we'll talk about that, of course, in a little bit.
Yep. All right, and so we just checked in.
Yeah.
The chat, but is there anything else that we missed?
So far, Billy's here. I've been trying to. He loves Lando, and as do we all. And with the perfect casting of Donald Glover.
Yeah, we'll talk a little bit about that later.
But yeah, that's what we got so far.
All right, so now the spoiler gauntlet is off or on, or I don't know what the right phrase would be.
Infinity spoilers with 6 gems.
So many spoilers. So if you
haven't seen it, don't. I mean, yeah. we're in Target. We're in Target.
Billy, keep warning people that are new.
Yeah, I also liked it. Literally, I liked everyone here.
All right, so one of my biggest gripes was this character Rio, who is an Ardenian.
Yes, voiced by Jon Favreau.
And there was just something off about. Not that he's a CGI character. I thought that part didn't look bad, but just all the lines that he had and the way Jon Favreau delivered them, it felt like they plucked him right out of Phantom Menace and threw him in here.
He's definitely very prequel feeling, especially the way he says Wookiee.
Yeah, it's like Wookiee, like Bookie.
That one dude from Swingers that's also Happy Hogan.
Yeah, Wookiee.
Wookiee.
He's like, oh, you never felt like a better sleep than when you sleep in a Wookiee's lap. First of all, he was going to rip all of your arms off if you try that.
Or at least 2 of them. I kind of liked him, but I also liked that he wasn't in it more than he was.
Yeah, his early demise, again, spoilers, I could see this purpose that it served to kind of give Han some later motivation way down in the arc that you shouldn't die alone and you need somebody.
Yeah.
But he served his purpose for the movie. He was in it just enough. If he had been in it any longer, I probably would have gotten more annoyed.
Yep. I could see it. And yeah, Billy said he served his purpose. On the flip side of this, Val deserved better.
Yes, I would have wanted to see way more of her. We definitely see what kind of character she was, with her willing to make the sacrifice when she can't get out of the pinned down situation on the bridge.
Yeah, she was the mentor Han needed, not Beckett.
Mm-hmm.
Granted, he learned some really good lessons from Beckett, but still.
But I loved Val. She was great. I wanted more of her. And we didn't get more of her. Why are they always shirking the lady screen time in these sometimes?
Yeah.
It's kind of frustrating.
It is. And
I like how she was the skeptical one.
Until Han started really telling his story.
Yeah. That was pretty great.
And yes, Maeve. Tandy Newton?
Yeah, Tandy. I'm not sure if it's Tandy or Thandy because it is a TH.
Yeah, it's also a proper noun. So
yes.
That really makes everything weird.
Maeve from Westworld.
She's fantastic in that. Fantastic in this.
She's fantastic in everything she's in. She's a great actress. I'm glad that I'm glad she was in the movie. They could have easily cast some other random person for this.
Yep.
I thought she had a great rapport with Woody Harrelson, who played Tobias Beckett, the most Earthling sounding name ever for Star Wars.
Which is the weirdest name in the Star Wars universe.
Which is the most normal sounding for Earth, anyway.
Right, and it's because he's got 2 Earth sounding names. Because we have
Earth first names.
We have Luke Skywalker, and Luke's a pretty normal name, and Obi-Wan went by Ben for a while, and there's some normal sounding names, but then you have Kenobi and Skywalker. And, yeah.
Although Kenobi sounds like a Japanese name, but anyway, we're getting way off topic.
Yeah.
All right, I had a lot of problems with the third act of the movie with the Enfys Nest, which is so hard to say, and it's spelled so weird. It just kind of feels like at this point in the movie that, I don't know, like they kind of lost it, like what they could do with the characters. I wonder if this is where we had a lot of our changes from directors and stuff. Kind of like, how when you watch Ant-Man, you can tell which ones are which stuff is Edgar Wright and which stuff isn't. I wonder if it's a similar situation to this. But, yeah, not that I thought that the Enfys Nest characters were bad. I liked the actress that they got to play, the lead character. She was really cool. And
Warwick Davis got to be Warwick Davis.
Yes, Warwick Davis finally got to have like a speaking role in a Star Wars movie, unless he had a speaking role in another one that I don't know about, which is totally possible.
I think he had a speaking role in Force Awakens, but it was like synthesized and modified. And that kind of stuff. But he got to be Warwick Davis in a Star Wars movie. Like, he didn't have to wear a bunch of makeup or anything.
But this is where I think in the movie they could have really like doubled down on him being an anti-hero, and then they just made him a regular hero. And I wanted to see more anti-hero Han, and this kind of just felt weird.
Yeah, I mean, it goes with what they said, like, right before he makes the decision, where she's like, you're not going to come down, when it comes down to it, you're not going to do the wrong thing because you're the good guy. She knows really what he really is. And it's true. And I feel like this wouldn't feel so empty if we already didn't know that.
Yeah.
Like, because we know Han's going to come back and save the day.
Yeah, we know the rest of his story already. We've seen the end. So it just felt weird. I thought it was kind of a weak third act. And then this moment, it's probably like the worst one, where he gets his name. I don't have anyone. And the recruiter guy's like, Han Solo.
So yeah, it's the situation where we can't. It's the same problem that everything that happens in any of these kinds of movies that come back after a long time, or tell us these origin stories we didn't really need to know originally or whatever. It's never going to be as good as what we can imagine it. Even if it is really good, we're still going to be like, but it could have been cooler. But instead, it was just this smug Imperial dude, and that's just like the perfect picture of him, where he's got that smirk. He's like, I'm a smart butt.
Yeah, and I think a lot of people probably, when they did the announcements about this movie, and it's like, Han Solo's name is not really Han Solo, people are like, what? No. But in the Han Solo trilogy novels that are no longer canon, but are now legends, it said this. And sometimes you just have to get over that kind of information because it's not going to go the way you want it to.
I still think
this was really stupid.
I think we need the persistent soundbite of Luke. You know, like this is not going to turn out the way you think it will, or whatever.
But yeah, this is overall the biggest gripe that I had. Besides some of the other, I did eye roll a lot.
Yeah.
When it came to all of the other references to the original trilogy, but I didn't want to like nitpick every reference to the original trilogy. We did pick a best and worst.
Yeah.
But I didn't want to go like, this was horrible, because while I did eye roll at it, overall I found more things that I liked that I didn't like.
Well, even then, with all the eye rolls, at the end of the day, this movie was fun.
Yeah.
Like, there wasn't some grand design I needed out of it, and it's not like they actually kind of forced more than I expected to tie into the other movies with the whole, this is going to be the birth of the rebellion, man, and that kind of stuff. Like, I feel like they could have done this and not had it linked to anything going on in the other Star Wars movies, and it would have been just fine. But they didn't, and I don't know. It was fine. It was fun. It was a lot of fun. I enjoyed the crap out of this movie, and we saw it twice in the theater.
Yeah, we did see it twice. Before we go on to the things we did like, let's check back in with the chat.
Apparently, Tandy Newton was in Mission Impossible 2.
I remember that. I never saw that one, but I remember the marketing.
Got to see Willow in the flesh. It's true. All these from Billy. He hated the Solo thing. Yeah, it's like that Imperial officer needs to be fired because he just gave name to the worst rebel general of all time.
Well, and that he basically was going against, I'm sure, some kind of protocol where you have to have like an identity chip and all sorts of other things.
Yeah.
So just
and Billy says it's like how in Rogue One they did the thing with the name, and yeah, that's true. It's exactly it. With Rogue One, it made more sense because I don't know, you have to have a call sign or something like that. But like the fact that they just force it in there, like it could have been his name all along.
Yeah, apparently in those Han Solo Legends books or whatever, his name is Solo. So
why not?
Why couldn't they have gone with that?
It's just as weird as any other Star Wars name.
So anyway, moving on from gripes. So I really liked Alden.
Whatever his last name is.
I can't pronounce this. last name, and I don't have it in front of me to try to pronounce it. It's very German sounding, but he's from Hail Caesar as Hobie Doyle, and I thought he was great. I liked him, and of course, there's no Harrison Ford.
No.
But I thought it was an enjoyable performance. I didn't cringe every time he was on the screen.
He was, yeah. He was cocky and charming and all that jazz, just like you would want Han Solo to be. It feels like someone role-playing Han Solo for a role-playing game, but it works for me. He did a really good job. I don't think he looks the part as well.
No, he doesn't quite look like a young Harrison Ford, but even if you could find someone that looked like him, like you have to get somebody that can embody that cockiness, and not everybody ages the same. So obviously from...
Apparently spelled phonetically, it's Ehrenreich.
Okay.
I don't remember it starts with an E.
Yes, that sounds...
Thank you, Billy.
It's correct. But anyway... You have to get somebody that can capture the essence of the character. You can look like the character all day long, but if you can't pull off the essence of the character, and obviously they probably tested a lot of people, and this is the guy that they felt was right, and, you know, it doesn't have to be 100% perfect.
Yep.
I mean, you're not going to get that unless you do, like, some kind of animated thing or creepy CGI.
Right.
Like they did in Rogue One with Leia and... Tarkin, which people would have been mad about. So you have to kind of pick your battles.
And it would have been bad if they had it that much. Like if they had, because he's the titular character. It's like, was it Tron?
Legacy
or whatever.
Yeah,
with young, the dude. But see, the thing is, he may not look a lot like Harrison Ford to me, but he definitely pulls off the looks.
Yes.
Like the facial gestures.
Like this is making me think of when he talked to Leia in Empire Strikes Back in the snow house.
Yeah, in Hoth.
Yeah, so it's called the Snow House, guys.
No, but just to let you guys know, the Snow House is a fantastic bubble tea place near us.
Yeah, if you ever come to visit, we'll take you there.
They're open Monday through Saturday. Fantastic food. And
just go edit the Wikipedia right now on the Snow House planet, because I don't know names of anything.
Yes, his hair was spot on.
I'm the worst Star Wars fan ever, but that's okay.
And yes, he sounded like him. Billy brings up his hair was spot on. He had the attitude, and he sounded like him. And that's all.
He had chest hair
entirely true. And he had the perfect chest hair for it.
I saw that. All right, Chewbacca, of course. You can't go wrong with Chewbacca. Now, of course, it's not Peter Mayhew playing him. Peter Mayhew is a lot older now. And
he couldn't do half the stuff he needed to do now.
Yeah, and he couldn't do a lot of the stuff in The Force Awakens anyway. So a different person. I can't remember the actor's name, but obviously I would not have known a different person played Chewbacca. It was good.
Well, I think the guy who's doing Chewbacca now still has Peter Mayhew as like an advisor. Like he's on set all the time to like point out, okay, this is what we should probably do for this and that kind of thing. And
obviously the costume looks good. They, probably had access to like the real Chewbacca costumes.
When he's already 190 years old, young Chewbacca 30 years ago is kind of a misnomer.
Yeah. He looks great. And then I really like the rapport that Han and Chewie had, even though they don't really know each other. I love how Chewbacca's introduced in the movie where, oh no, the monster. And it's like, they're setting this up to be Chewbacca, aren't they?
My initial instinct was it was like a baby Rancor.
Yeah.
But then, like, once it was, I'm like, oh, I should have seen that coming.
And it was so great when they're fighting, and then he tries to speak the language, and it's
like broken syntax.
So broken syntax. But that was great because if Han could speak the language perfectly, that would have been so annoying.
Yeah.
But his baby speak of like pretend, like me, you pretend battle. Punch thing.
Me plan escape.
Me plan escape is like, oh, okay. I'll trust this guy that knows my language, and then the two dudes that are screaming at them like, oh man, it killed him too soon.
Hey Cal, thank you for stopping in. I know you got stuff going on as well. We always appreciate the love that you show for us, you sharing and everything. Same with you, Billy. We appreciate the shares you were doing earlier.
I love it when they figure out or like con their way onto the ship. It's like, no, they totally took me, not because of you, even though they totally took Han because of Chewie.
They took Han because of Chewie.
But and then they're in the shower, and then Chewie just joins them in the shower.
Can we do this one at a time, please?
But apparently, I was reading up on the Wikipedia that the Wookiees like to show their affection for people by grooming them. So maybe he was just gonna groom him. I don't know.
Stepped in there and he's just kind of like, wait, how do I groom something with this little hair?
What happened to your fur? Anyway, I love Chewbacca.
Always do.
Chewbacca is the best. They had a great relationship.
Mm-hmm.
I really love Kira, played by the lady from Game of Thrones.
Oh, and I knew her name like 10 minutes ago. I'm bad with this stuff.
I know her Game of Thrones character is Daenerys.
Oh, yes.
Targaryen.
She also played Sarah Connor in the most recent terrible Terminator movie. Emilia Clarke.
Yes, that is her name.
That's it, Emilia Clarke, yeah.
Yeah, she's great as Han's girlfriend, and then they get separated, and then he's going to go back for her, but oh no, he doesn't need to go back for her because she's with the Crimson Dawn.
Yeah.
And she's like in it real deep because she has the tattoo in the inside of her wrist.
She's a lieutenant, and
yeah, you can tell that she and Voss, they're real close, like a little too close, and then Han just so oblivious he doesn't get it.
Or he it's not even that he doesn't get it, it's that he's just kind of like, whatever, I'm here now.
Mm-hmm. And they have a really great chemistry. I believe them as a couple when they're racing through Corellia and he gets the ship stuck or the speeder stuck. That was pretty great.
Can we also take a moment to talk about how amazing Corellia looked?
Corellia did look disgusting.
It was Detroit the planet. It's like what I would imagine a planet would look like if that planet was literally designed or literally like built up to build starships.
You think like some kind of like Oliver situation is happening?
Oh,
in Corellia because of all of the poor little children that owe all their money to Madame, the creepy bug lady,
Madame
Proxima,
Lady Proxima, who also was in it Dune? She played the
little grandma. Yeah.
She also plays. She's like NCIS, I think. Los Angeles, I think she's in that one.
She did a lot of stuff.
She was. But hey, Langley, thank you for joining us.
But Kira, she was pretty great.
Langley appreciated the Detroit the planet joke. Nice.
All right, and then when she dressed up as like the pretend officer,
lieutenant of like this traders guild or whatever.
Yeah, slave traders. I thought that was really cool. It kind of gave me a run like imperial
Billy
dresses.
Lady Proxima in parentheses, not midnight. Nice.
And of course, what Billy talked about earlier, there's like a million Lando pictures in here because I really love Lando.
This is literally like the best casting decision they have ever made for this kind of stuff. This is
everybody was saying Lando the movie, who cares about Han Solo, and I don't disagree with them.
Yeah, he's a lot of fun.
If you were going to kind of go with a character that doesn't have a fleshed out story that I wouldn't mind some of the mystery being taken away, it would be Lando.
Well, and it's Donald Glover did a fantastic job in this role. He made the character exciting. Again, that eyebrow raise, like Billy said. How about that choice of style?
And he had so many capes. I wish I got a picture of the cape room, but I didn't have time to find one.
One of the best little like cross advertising things I've seen so far for this movie is every time we went to the movie theater, there was like a little video of him showing off the Millennium Falcon, like an MTV Crib style thing.
That was great.
And he talked about the cape closet, and yeah,
there were so many capes, and he just has the moves down, just like Alden was able to encapsulate what Harrison Ford did in the performance. Donald Glover was able to encapsulate what Billy D. Williams had done in just the 2 movie appearances that we had seen him in the original trilogy.
He also did a bang-up job of sneaking in the baby at the end of some sentences when he's talking to people.
Because Billy D. as Lando, smooth operator.
Yeah.
Like, do not trust him around any of your girlfriends or apparently boyfriends or other droids or whatever, because he's into all of it according to the internet. I could see it a little in the movie that he'd be into lots of stuff.
Needed to offer a Colt 45 beverage indeed, Billy.
Oh yeah, I was thinking that. And then I just love this scene of him where they're not supposed to be looking at L3, but he just like, I am the king of the Falcon.
Man, do I care.
And he's got his furs on, and he just looks
please indulge her.
Yeah, he's so on, and he just looks
Please
so
indulge her.
Yeah, he's so majestic. I love Donald Glover as this character. I would watch 100 movies of him being this character. I don't care how stupid the movies are. I would go see every one of them opening weekend.
By the way, the SNL sketch involving him, pretty great.
I don't know if I've seen that yet. I might have to go check that out.
It's a convention he throws for all the black people in the galaxy.
Oh, so there's
like 5 people.
So him and Val and like one other person.
Yeah.
Mace Windu. Oh, I think I have seen that. But yeah, he's great. And then I couldn't find like a actual screenshot from the movie. Those are hard to come by. But he had a great antagonistic rapport with Han.
He calls him Han.
Yeah,
and Han is just like, it's Han. Sure, Han.
Yeah. Yeah, and it's like, I hate you. I know. When he don't ever let anyone drive your ship.
I'm gonna be in my ship. I want my share, and then I never want to see you again. Are you sure? Like never?
Never. So yeah, they had a great.
Yeah, they have a great rapport. They have great chemistry, great banter. It's like, for all the complaints I would have about this movie being like way too like glorifying of the little like eye rolly groany tropes, and again, I will still stand by this was not a movie we necessarily needed. But
and it was very predictable in all of the references that it made. In fact, our friend Brian at Herskilles on Twitter,
you can go find his
predicted
tweets.
like 90% of what would
like
happen
6 months ago.
Yeah, in this movie. So
and it's the best parts about it are the fact that the cast works so well together. And I actually had fun watching this. I'm a sucker for a good heist movie, and this was a lot of fun.
We mentioned her earlier, L337, and the droid Rebellion. She's a piece together droid. She built herself, apparently, or most of herself, and she's actually the computer that's inside of the Falcon that we later learn when she meets her demise, when they're trying to escape the Kessel mines, because that's where they have to go get the coaxium to complete their job for Dryden Voss.
It's funny because she's a droid rights activist, and I have to contact my friend Connor and let him know that they stole his idea, because when we played our Star Wars RPG, that's what he played.
Is that the one where I was Oscara?
Yep.
Nice. But I liked her, played by Phoebe Waller-Bridge, I believe. And then, of course, she had a great rapport with Lando. And so we kind of learn a little bit more about droids in this movie, is that once they start acting up, you can just wipe their memory. But he's never wiped her memory because she has the best navigational system in the galaxy. So that's probably explains why she's gained so much sentience, because he never wipes her memory.
Yeah.
Whereas like C-3PO obviously had his memory wiped, R2 and all of them.
I think R2 had his memory wiped way less than 3PO ever did.
Probably.
And I think if R2 could actually speak English or basic,
they probably would have
like the basic.
Yeah.
He would sound a lot like her.
Yeah. Sassy,
because you already tell he's sassy.
R2 is so sassy.
Billy and Langley weren't huge fans of L3. I absolutely loved her. She was crass and snarky.
I've liked all the droids that they've had in the movies.
Oh, apparently R2 has never had his memory wiped at all.
Oh, I mean, okay.
He's probably always found a way out of it. That droid is crafty. He is Anakin's droid.
Oh, yeah, because that's the joke about, like, why didn't he tell anybody anything? Yeah. It's like, you saw, like, the whole saga. Why are you keeping it to yourself? Oh, crap.
Liked what she did to Clint Howard. I liked that Clint Howard was in it.
He always has a cameo in his brother's movies, so that was great. Yeah, let go of the mean man's face. All right, and of course, seeing the Falcon, and it has an escape pod, so it doesn't look quite like the Falcon that we're all used to with the bifurcated front end.
That's a mint Falcon right there.
This is the one time it doesn't look like a hunk of junk. And of course, it's like it has like the equivalent of the boot on it, and so they have to remove the boot. And of course, Tobias can move it.
Strength.
Tobias can help remove it, but he takes off another like 5% of Lando's share.
I don't agree with it. but I'll accept it.
But it does let you know that Tobias obviously is a big deal in the circle, that Lando is like, okay, I will take a measly quarter of this heist money.
Billy says the Falcon looking like a slice of pizza. It's true. With that escape pod in there, it is very pizza-like.
Mm-hmm.
I think of like a tower shield from D&D as well. But that's where I always go.
And speaking of Tobias, he also...
Again, Earth name.
Yeah, most Earth name ever.
Earth name thief. He was fantastic in this. Woody Harrelson being in Star Wars.
Mm-hmm.
I don't know how much of a geek he is, but like sometimes like that's why I think like Donald Glover had a good time, because we know he's a geeky dude.
If you've ever seen his stand up, he's super nerdy and super geeky. The second time we saw it, who did they think this was? The people that were next to you?
Oh crud.
They didn't think it was.
They thought it was guy who played Yondu. I can't remember his name right now.
Oh, they thought it was Michael Rooker?
They thought it was Michael Rooker.
That's precious.
And I'm like, no.
That's Woody Harrelson. Or as I kept
Michael
calling
Rooker. Michael Rooker's bald and everything.
I kept calling him Haymitch.
Yeah.
Like, again, I'm horrible with names.
Billy brings up he's very much a Long John Silver type. I get that. Like, yeah, I can totally see that. Because he's kind of friendly, but he warns you from the very get-go
like, don't
everything that he's going to do.
Mm-hmm. And he lost his best girl. But, obviously he lives in a cold world, literally, so he can't let that...
Snow world.
He can't let that, hinder him,
Yeah, but Woody Harrelson usually has hair in the movies he's in, even if it's a wig. Like, with the...
Are you commenting on something they said?
Yeah, Billy brings up Woody Harrelson's also bald. Yeah, but I think Michael Rooker's typically also just bald in every movie he's in. And show, but I don't know about The Walking Dead.
Mm-hmm.
I know he was missing a hand in The Walking Dead until he died.
Spoilers.
Whatever.
All right, and then we also Tobias is the one that gives him the blaster. He kind of deconstructs a rifle, and so that's where Han gets his iconic weapon. So that's kind of cool to see that origin. And they don't make like a huge deal of it.
Nope, and that's the way to do it.
He does want to learn like all his gunslinging techniques. It's like, no, I'm not going to teach you.
Which is really nice to see different kinds of rogues. Because I'm a huge tabletop gamer. I'm like, oh, Tobias is the gunslinger archetype. And Han is like the smooth operator archetype. He's just not good at it.
And then Han seeing the Falcon for the first time, and he's like, because he's always dreaming, I'm going to get my ship. I'm going to get my ship. And then I think in the background on Corellia, you see other YT 1300 ships, but obviously it's not the one. It's,
the most iconic light freighter in the galaxy that we only ever see one of, except in this movie.
Mm-hmm.
But they were on Corellia, so that makes sense.
Yeah. And then what I called Evil Vision.
Yeah. Evil Vision is great. Notice the Mandalorian-style battle armor in the background. I didn't notice exactly what that was whenever we watched it.
And then,
which brings me to wonder if he's Mandalorian.
I don't know, but Paul Bettany was great as Dryden Voss. And then I don't have as much Star Wars knowledge as most people, so I was kind of curious if, because he kept every time he got angry, the lines on his face would become more pronounced and inflamed. So I was wondering if that was like a certain alien creature. I couldn't find anything on the Wikipedia, but maybe if other people in the chat.
Billy, Evil Vision with his face looking like Doctor Strange's hands.
That's messed up.
That's pretty great.
That's pretty good.
I think it's just like scars and.
But scars that know that you're angry?
I think that was more angles and movie magic and lighting, because you notice how he's got that piece of metal on his head as well across one of the scars.
Mm-hmm.
I think it's all medical injuries. And maybe it has something to do with maybe cybernetics or something. Increased blood pressure causes the scars to turn red.
I don't know, but I thought it was a cool aesthetic to, he's super mad. And I think his eyes would get red, too.
His eyes would get red.
So I thought that was curious, but they never say like that he's like a certain kind of alien. So I wasn't sure where he was from, if he was like all the other humanoids.
Mm-hmm.
All right, let's check back in with the chat before we get into our next section.
Billy's saying Paul Bettany bringing that intensity really well, and I agree. He definitely played on the whole, like, I try to remain calm and composed, but man, sometimes I just want to kill someone.
Yeah, and then just the casual way, like, oh, and if you don't bring back my coaxium,
we'll be out of options.
Yeah, and it's like, oh, he's gonna kill all you, and he's just so chill about it.
And Beckett, if you don't bring back my coaxium, we'll be out of options.
So yeah, that was pretty great. What else have they been saying?
Lots of talk about the Long John Silver. I've been bringing up whatever I could whenever it fits. Apparently, it also looked the Millennium Falcon also looked like a Kakuna. I could see it. Langley, my only issue is the use of baby in the Star Wars universe. It's younglings, no? Lol. I think he was using baby in the term as one would use to a beautiful individual of the opposite or same gender. Not in the young version of something. Also, I think younglings is a Jedi term, so... Are you ready to move right along, Footloose and Fancy Free?
Yes, and so these are the scenes that we felt were the most important because that's always like a good way to analyze a movie is what's essential. And so this is supposed to represent, because again, it's not going to be 100% accurate. We don't have all the still shots.
It's hard to find like really good shots right now.
So this is representative of what you wanted to talk about.
So the first time that Han and Chewie fly the Falcon together, it's after Lando's injured, Kira's trying to be his co-pilot, and when they're getting attacked from behind by all the Imperial fighters, and he's just like, I need to push all that, which I think is something they said in the original too, like reroute power to the rear deflector shields or something like that. And she's like, yes,
we need to do that, and she's just looking down, and Chewie's like, let me do this for you.
Do the things.
And it's like, here, you sit here. You obviously like, how do you know how to fly?
A parsec is distance. The reason Billy said confused whether a parsec is time or distance. Now, unless I misinterpreted it, I used to think it was time as well.
Yeah, it's a measure of distance.
And the way it works is they would have normally run the Kessel Run by following that tunnel inside. But when Han flew literally through the maelstrom, he cut 7.5, something like that. You know, depends. He
cut off a decent chunk of the parsecs because I think originally it was supposed to be that you couldn't run the maelstrom. You couldn't run the Kessel Run. Couldn't be done in under like either 14 or 18 parsecs. In this movie, they say it's 20. But either way, like everybody always assumed that Han was exaggerating, and then we do kind of get a bit from Chewie that he's rounding down. But how much is he rounding down? We don't know. But yes, it's a unit of distance.
From 20 to 13 is still impressive.
Yeah, so they took a shortcut. But yeah, I like that. You know, Chewie just has to show off his skills as a co-pilot, and Kira had no clue what was going on. And
wait, you know how to fly a ship?
You're 190. You look great. So, and then Tobias assumed
the role of the gunner.
Yes, with a ventral cannon, which gets does it get blown off completely?
Yeah, the ventral, because the dorsal cannon gets taken off whenever they run into a meteor or something. But the ventral cannon gets shot off before they do the whole like dropping the landing gear skid turn that got his friend killed, but he was going to be able to pull it off.
Yeah, my friend on Corellia did this right before he died.
By doing this.
And oh, Han, it felt very much like something a young Han Solo would do and say.
And from a role player perspective, those are the kind of jokes we make when doing things like, I'm going to try something. It's probably going to get us killed, but I'm going to try something. It's just, anyway, so this scene, the first time, like when she like scoots the chair back, she's like, please take over. And he sits down and scoots in, and the music kind of like has that, it switches to a version of like Binary Suns, and you're just like, all right, all's right with the world.
You get that fanfare, and yeah, it does hit those nostalgic points, but it was fun. And yes, you know they're not going to die because obviously Chewbacca and Han Solo have to be in the other movies along with Lando. But it was still fun to see how they were going to solve the problem of the creepy creature that can breathe in space, which was so disgusting looking with all of its eyes. It made me want to throw up.
That's what it's supposed to do.
And then it has its skin ripped off as it gets sucked into the maw.
The gravity well.
It was a fun scene. I enjoyed it.
Still real like how hyperspace looks. Same. It's it is no other like space travel movie has been able to do like a hyperspace type mentality that comes close to as epic as Star Wars feels.
I don't know. Spaceballs when they went plaid. All right, so this was the scene that I felt was the most important. His face-off with Tobias, and
which, this isn't even the final face-off.
No, but
this is when he's like, "This is the plan. This is what we're gonna do."
Mm-hmm. And then later on, so this is kind of representing
the whole
thing where it's like, oh well, I'm not running away if it's saving my life. And then when you find out that he is also a high-ranking person in Voss's control, or at least in cahoots with them, whatever. So that was very interesting, and it kind of made me rethink something that Voss says at the beginning. Oh, I see you've met my my highest lieutenant or whatever, and he never says Kira's name, and it's implied that he's talking about Kira, but maybe he could be talking about Beckett too. I don't know. I could be reading too much into it.
Well, and Kira even referred to Beckett as Voss's friend when talking to their master.
And then, so kind of going along with this whole sequence, when Han and him are talking, and Han doesn't even give him a chance to finish what he's saying. He just shoots him.
Yep.
And that's where we see that Han doesn't take chances.
Especially knowing, and it's the thing, at that point, Han knew how Beckett was going to act. And Billy is pointing out the way that he holds his hips like Ford, and it's true. That's the way he's got his hands kind of like thumbing the pockets in his hips. That angle, that stance, that's very Han Solo.
And then another very important scene, Kira like looking out after she has talked to someone, which I also have a picture of that in a moment, where she kind of makes a decision that, no, I'm not coming back for you, Han. I'm going to go my own way with the Crimson Dawn and do sinister things.
Oh, she probably made that decision a while back.
Of course, but now we can kind of see like what she's thinking here. Like, does she have any kind of regret that like Han can't come with her? Is she longing for like fun adventures with him? But I think
it was all an act.
You think it was all an act?
I think it was an act with an undercut of like, in another life, maybe
in another town we could be whoever we want.
Exactly, but as we know who their master is, that's not possible because he's a very angry person.
Yes, bringing me to the final most important scene.
Boom!
I was totally floored by this. I'm surprised it does not get a bigger reaction in the theater. I don't know if people forgot who this was, or if they were just confused. But it was like, holy crap, he's alive. But oh wait, he's alive in the cartoon, but I didn't watch the cartoon. So, oh my gosh, he's alive.
The Crimson Dawn, that's what I kind of thought afterwards, because Billy brings up that the Crimson Dawn was a big clue. I know he was in charge of a group called the Shadow Collective, which was a criminal organization.
Or like Black Sun. I think
Black Sun's another criminal organization. I think the Shadow Collective works with Black Sun. I think Crimson Dawn works with Black Sun. I was like, man, if only I had looked up information on Crimson Dawn or known something about Crimson Dawn. But regardless, whenever the hologram first showed up, I saw the robot legs. I'm like, oh, they're not going to do this, are they? And then they did this, and I was just like, holy crap. So
yeah, I wonder what kind of, if they do make more Solo movies, like, are they going to try to bridge the gap more between the original trilogy and like things that are going on with characters like Darth Maul? I don't know, but I thought it was pretty significant to include him.
Well, I know Aaron Reich is signed up for 3 movies as this character. That doesn't necessarily mean 3 movies he's involved in, or that are his movies. They could be other movies he's somewhat involved in. And yes, Billy brings up it was Ray Park playing Vader with the voice of Sam Witwer. I am really glad this is the one of the handful of times I didn't go on IMDb before this movie came out, because Sam Witwer is labeled on the IMDb
as voice,
and that's it. And I know who he plays. So it would have just been like, oh no. Oh, they're going to do the thing. So, I will point out one tiny gripe, and I know I've seen it on the internet a couple of times. He didn't need to ignite his lightsaber.
Yeah, I've seen that a couple of times too. She's not even there. How is it that intimidating? I'm not afraid of holograms.
Yeah, but she probably also knows he's got the reach to find her and kill her, and he would if she betrayed him. Regardless, it was also really cool. Really, 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 really cool. Shadow Collective was a combination of the Pikes, the Hutts, the Death Watch, the Black Sun, and the Night Brothers. Which means the Crimson Dawn being like his own little underwing of that, maybe his own little like hidden force to act as his own separate power base would make sense. So,
all right. So next thing, unless there's anything else in the chat to talk about, we do have another section.
Thanks for popping in, Mel, and thank you for the share and everything. We really appreciate it. We are talking Solo, a lot of Solo. So. Perhaps if you haven't seen it yet, make sure you don't stay too long. Ray Park still has moves. Yes, he does. There's a video of him at a convention like a week or two ago showing off some moves, and he's still got it. So what's next?
All right, so our best and worst of the illusions, foreshadowing, whatever you want to call them. And so you had kind of stolen mine from earlier where we learned that Han is on purpose, or it's retconned to be on purpose.
Yeah.
It's his nickname. Hello, Han. It's Han.
Sure,
Han. And he keeps calling him Han the rest of the movie. And I was fine with this kind of retcon because it kind of shows that Lando is kind of being a jerk. And I like that.
Yeah. Oh, yeah. It's perfect.
Because that was one of the gripes that people always talked about in the other movie. Like, why did Lando say his name weird? And then why did Princess Leia have a British accent for like 2 seconds? But it's kind of she's making fun of Tarkin.
Yeah.
So that's how a lot of people interpret it. But anyway, I liked this moment.
Mm-hmm, mm-hmm. This was mine. I love that Haymitch, haha. No, I love that Tobias basically taught Chewie how to win at this game, outside of just being a Wookiee and intimidating whoever he's playing. But I love this. I love that this little, I don't remember exactly what the game is called, but it's this chessboard is like a central point every time.
And you can't knock the players off. It's a hologram, Chewie.
Yeah, exactly. But it's fantastic. It's great. I think this means that every time Chewie's played, he's lost though, because I think he lost to 3PO as well, and 3PO was like, "Oh, new strategy. Let the Wookiee win."
Yep. And another one that I thought was pretty good that I didn't have time to find a screenshot of is apparently the Imperial March is the canon song for the Empire.
The recruitment video that's playing on Corellia when Han's like, okay, this is my big
empire.
See far away worlds. Bring peace to the galaxy. But it's like an upbeat version. It's like da 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 da.
So I'm just imagining Darth Vader like walking down corridors singing that in his head. Especially like a young Anakin / Vader, like I could see him doing
the writing of that. Like someone had to come to him. It's like, sir, this is going to be our official
march,
like Imperial March. Can you please give me like clearance for this? He's like, yes, this seems fine. You sure, sir? You're the one who brought it to me. Well, yes, but do you not believe the Empire will march to this? Well, I mean, it's kind of dour, and I find your lack of faith disturbing. And that was my reference for the show.
Yeah.
Anything else we got?
We have some of the gripes when it comes to the illusions, the ones that we thought were the most heinous.
Yeah.
So this is one of yours.
Yeah, I would care, and this isn't even an original trilogy thing. I know these dice were not a thing until
they're like barely a thing.
Yeah. Vader, little orphan Annie, nice. Daddy, Palpatine. That sounds wrong. Anywho, so they made a big deal of these dice in Solo, but they introduced them in The Last Jedi, and I'm just like, I don't care about these dice. Like, it made sense in the scope of The Last Jedi, sure, whatever. But to make them go as far back as Solo just doesn't, it feels hollow.
I mean, I think they are in the original trilogy, but it's not like a major thing. And then mine was the fact that they're already mentioning Tatooine, which is one of the things that Brian predicted, that they'd either be on Tatooine or like at the cantina. And so they learned from Tobias that there's some kind of a hut thing going on. And I think they
some big gangster has got a big score. So come find me on Tatooine.
And so now they're going to go to Tatooine to find the big score. And so I kind of wish that they wouldn't have made any Tatooine references, you know, kind of, you know, not play your hand so heavily on that. I would have liked to seen some. Obviously, they probably do go on different adventures.
Yeah,
but I wouldn't want.
They probably work for Jabba for a while before they get into the situation that puts them in.
But I would like to imagine that wasn't their first adventure.
No.
As just a duo.
Yep.
Another one, I'm trying to remember if we mentioned it earlier.
It was very sequel baity between them going to Tatooine and the Darth Maul stuff.
Oh, another one that was kind of annoying is when like, oh, what's your name? Chewbacca. Oh, that's too. I'm just gonna have to come up with some kind of a nickname because I'm not saying that every time. Like that wasn't a necessary line.
Yeah.
Like he could have just said like, oh,
Chewbacca. Cool. How about Chewie?
Chewie. And then Chewie could have gotten mad.
Yeah, and frustrated. Yeah. It's like Han.
Mm-hmm.
Chewie. Chewie.
All right, and then I do have some numbers if you want to check in with the chat first.
Yeah, Billy bringing up it's very sequel baity. If they get a tattoo on Tatooine, I'd have left. Box office opening worse than Justice League. I don't see a sequel in the future. Yeah, I'm not sure. It's weird because it's Disney and they'll do that kind of stuff. Like Ant-Man's getting a sequel, and that's one of the underperforming ones. Thor got got an extra sequel after Dark World, which is like one of their worst performing ones. As a matter of fact, I think the only one that hasn't performed super well that got a sequel or that isn't getting a sequel that I know of is Hulk.
Yeah, that's really the one. Because even I think if we go back to that chart, which I don't have offhand, I want to say I think Hulk did worse than First Avenger.
Yeah.
But there's all sorts of different rights issues with Hulk. So obviously they figured they could make it better by changing directors or whatever.
And it's possible. He's got a 3-movie deal. It may just be that we don't see a solo sequel. We just see him in other stuff. So... All right, on to your new charts.
All right, so I made a chart of all the Star Wars movies. And so it has a movie, what year it was released, its budget, its Rotten Tomatoes rating, and if the cinema score exists, the cinema score, opening weekend, and then worldwide gross. So obviously, worldwide gross for the original trilogy is highly inflated from re-releases. So those numbers are not representative of 1977, 80, and 83 because they were re-released in 1997, and that gets all conflated with it. But they do have a pretty substantial worldwide gross because of that, and they also are pretty favorable with both critics and audiences, again, with them being older movies. That's probably also very skewed. I remember reading a lot of critic reviews about Empire saying that it was because it was so different that it was...
I mean, it was darker,
and it didn't have as many favorable... Like, it had favorable, but favorable to confused reviews.
Yeah.
And then we can see the original budgets for, like, look at what could make a blockbuster movie back in the 1970s and 80s. Obviously, inflation has happened a lot. And then with the prequel trilogy, which came out when we were like in high school and college, $115 million to make 2 of those. And then they actually lowered the budget for Revenge of the Sith, which I was surprised by.
Yeah, but $2 million is... I mean, you got to look at it. By then, people were already kind of like, are we sure? And then they would get excited when the next one would be announced.
Mm-hmm. And so Phantom Menace is the only one that has like a completely rotten critic and audience score, but it's also the only one of the trilogy of the prequel movies that went $1 billion worldwide. And they all have A- cinema scores. So obviously that like hype right after you see the movie didn't deter the fans that got to rate it on Cinema Score.
Well, and I'll still stand by as much as I'm like, I didn't really enjoy the prequel movies. There are things to love about them. They gave us Ewan McGregor's Obi-Wan, which is probably the inspiration for doing things like Solo, because then we know you can find a younger actor to play the younger version of this older character, and it works well. Because Ewan McGregor's Obi-Wan is also inspired.
And that's another one where they all want a movie with him as that character, I guess doing old man things on Tatooine.
Side adventure, maybe.
All right, so getting into the movies that are more recent, The Force Awakens, of course, a huge cultural phenomenon, probably because it had been so long. 10 years since we had our last Star Wars movie. People were amped up for this. That trailer got people hyped. So it made its whole budget back domestically on the opening weekend. Of course, that's not accounting for marketing, but the production budget, that's a huge deal.
Yeah.
And it's $2 billion worldwide. Rogue One, which came out the next year, had a smaller budget. Didn't quite pull in the same opening weekend, but still made $1 billion worldwide. Last Jedi, the highly contentious one from 6 months ago. Numbers were iffy on this, whether it was a $200 million or $217 million budget. Considering that the other one has such a huge budget, I'm surprised that they lowered it for Last Jedi, and I'm not sure why. And then the green scores for Rotten Tomatoes represent when it's a rotten score, kind of opposite of what we might think. Usually we think green is positive, but we see that all of the most recent Star Wars also have no lower than an A-. It pulled in a substantial more than its whole budget back opening weekend as well. It wasn't in the theaters as long as The Force Awakens, so it has a $1.3 billion box office. Force Awakens was in the theater until like June.
Yeah.
This one was only in the theater until about April, so it didn't have the legs to get it.
That time is still surprising for some movies.
And then, of course, Solo had a $250 million budget. Not quite as favorable reviews, but still positive. An A- cinema score, but its opening weekend, like we said before, underperforming according to everybody, and its worldwide gross not doing so well either. I'm not sure if it's out in every country, if they did like a simultaneous release. So I'm not sure if it'll have the legs to get to where it's
going to make its money back.
At least Rogue One level. Yeah, it's definitely going to make its money back, I'd imagine.
Billy is saying that its opening is good compared to other movies, but it's very disappointing. And yeah, that's the thing. It's like, for a Star Wars movie, this is kind of disappointing. I think there was a lot of stigma against this movie going in. Yeah,
there's a lot of people that were talking about how, and we've said it before as well, that this is not like a movie that people wanted. It's not a necessary. Well, I guess no movie is necessary.
Yeah, but that's a weird argument to make, I think, in some cases. Like, Star Wars isn't necessary.
I think it's just, like, remember when Star Wars only came out, like, never?
Yeah.
Like, I kind of miss those days where we didn't have, like, a Star Wars all the time. And maybe, having a release every year is not a good idea.
Yeah.
Maybe making the public wait for something every 2, 3, 5 years
I think
is fine for this franchise to bring back the mysticism and magic of it. We don't need every backstory on every character. I don't need the Max Rebo behind the music.
I think, but see, at the same time, we have Star Wars television shows that run for 6 to 7 years and are wildly popular and everyone loves them. I think what we need to do is focus on stories that don't necessarily involve anybody we really know in the Star Wars universe. Because we look at Rogue One, it's about the Death Star, and we look at Solo, it's about Han Solo.
Yeah, this is the first one that doesn't have Skywalkers in it.
At all.
But it does have a lightsaber.
It has one, and it's not even really, it doesn't do anything.
But no lightsaber fights.
Nope. Langley points out it's the highest costing Star Wars film ever.
That is true. I didn't even think about that, and I have the numbers right in front of me.
Well, I mean, you have to think about it. They had to rebuild a second Millennium Falcon. They had to probably shoot on location.
They had to pay a lot of money in acting costs.
Considering how and they probably had to pay extra for another director. Because I'm pretty sure Lord Miller got their pay already, or at least a portion of it. There was a lot that probably went in.
But because You think about like Woody Harrelson, he's, you know, a popular actor, Tandy Newton, Donald Glover, like all of the. I mean, it's not like it's like 100% A-listers, but it's still
It's a
like
large
it's
cast.
more well-known actors than when Star Wars had an $11 million budget and they cast all unknown people except for Alec Guinness and that one guy.
For me, it's the fact that like this movie is really good, but at the same time, it didn't need it. We didn't.
And I wouldn't even say like that it was like really good. I think it was just it's a fun movie. If you give it a chance, you might enjoy it. But I could definitely see why people wouldn't like this movie.
I would rewatch this more than Rogue One.
Yeah, I like this a lot better than Rogue One, even on a second viewing, which is kind of my litmus test for these movies, because I always get suckered in by the nostalgia, so I always got to watch it a second time to make sure that I didn't just have the nostalgia goggles on. And
Billy and Langley are pointing out it's the reshooting that probably cost it so much, because there were a lot of reshoots once Ron Howard came on, which makes sense. And we talked about that, like at some point, like why we think we like this one way better than Rogue One. And I think it's because Rogue One is like a really weird, like plays you with what it talks about. Because at the beginning, the whole theme of that movie is hope.
Mm-hmm.
But how is it hope if we already know how it's going to go?
Yeah.
There would have been hope if at least one or two of those people survived. But no one did.
It's like, we got to get rid of all of these people because they're not in the movie. And it's not just the familiar characters that I think made this much more enjoyable. I think the marketing was really terrible. So that kind of set my expectations really low.
Yeah.
To where, like, okay, if I enjoy it, then the marketing was just bad. Like, all the trailers were bad.
The fan trailer that used sabotage was slightly better.
Yeah, anytime they did, like, the swooping in of the Solo logo and the fanfare, the music, it always looked so wrong. And it sounded so wrong. And they just chose like the worst clips, whereas Rogue One, where it's like every trailer just got better, and then none of that stuff was in the movie.
Yeah.
So I think that's probably one reason why I was a little hopeful that this would be good.
Why did they choose Saw Gerrera not to have hair?
I mean, whatever. But we've probably been talking way too long about.
I mean, it's only been an hour and a minute.
About Solo, so.
Billy says the opening credits for Solo were weird. And yeah, I liked that they just got straight to it and then they were done. That we didn't have some opening fanfare moment. It was just like, here's Corellia, here's Solo. We're past it. Cool.
Yeah, where they just had the kind of like the Blade Runner style opening credits where it's like, here, just read this, versus the opening crawl. Because Rogue One had a cold open and then like the title screen and then the action.
I like that they're using these Star Wars stories to experiment. Okay, so this goes back to what I talked about I've enjoyed about the Star Wars prequels and Rogue One and now Solo. Though Solo is the only one that's done it well. And even to an extent, Last Jedi. I want them to show us things that aren't war zones, because that's all previous Star Wars movies have been. It's been military bases or the middle of an active battle or warfield, war zone, whatever. And I really want. I didn't like it, but I liked that they tried to show us the casino.
Mm-hmm.
I liked in Rogue One that we got to see Jeddah, which granted it was imperially occupied, but it was a city. That was just a city doing city things in a city voice. And then I enjoyed in Revenge of the Sith and Attack of the Clones, we get to see Coruscant.
Mm-hmm.
And in Solo, we get to see Corellia. We get to see, his freaking amazing like space thing, his space yacht.
Mm-hmm.
What's his?
Yeah, the space yacht.
Yeah, we get to see all this cool stuff that like a regular Star Wars movie wouldn't show us because it's so focused on lightsabers and space battles that whatever. We get to see all these cool little gambling dens that Lando is playing in.
I love his tropical cape.
Yeah, and we get to see his starship that's not a hunk of junk thrown together for military purposes. We get to see what is the equivalent of a luxury liner.
Mm-hmm.
Because Lando's ship is freaking fancy. It's got a mini bar. Mm-hmm. It's got a really nice queen size bed. It's got a cape closet.
Yeah.
I mean, come on.
So many capes.
So I like. There's more to Star Wars, and anybody who's read the expanded universe or watched the shows, the Legends, whatever they're called, or watched the shows, or played the video games, you guys, everyone knows that there's more to this universe than just like battle zones and Death Stars and military bases. So why can't we ever get to see that? And that's one thing I wish they could do with these these Star Wars stories.
These anthologies.
Yeah, these kinds of little, like, this isn't part of your normal trilogies. This has nothing to do with Skywalkers. They might be tangentially attached, but it has nothing to do with them. And I wish we could get that kind of thing without also relying so heavily on existing characters. Rogue One tried it, but then it's just about getting the plans for the Death Star.
And then, like, the coolest scene was, like, the one where Darth Vader killed everybody.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Billy wants a Dash Rendar Star Wars story.
Yes, we've said
Shadows of the Empire.
Yeah, we've said that a lot.
Prince Shizor is the Droven Koss, or whatever.
Dryden Voss.
Dryden Voss is Prince Shizor is the Dryden Voss that we really want. Because Prince Shizor is smooth and dangerous.
See, I love Shadows of the Empire because that's where I got my fun Wampus story about how me and my friends scared ourselves and we came up with an escape plan to get away from the Wampus that were going to come after us. Oh no! Oh, but this is Snow Wampus. This was a Sand Wampus.
You sure? Because I know you're on Hoth at one point in Shadows of the Empire.
No, this was the one in the sand part. I'm pretty sure.
On Tatooine.
Anyway, that was like decades ago, so
yes.
No one cares about that story.
But yeah, and then there's a lot of stuff they could do. They really could, without just focusing on the crap that happens between the Rebellion and the Empire. The Empire being there is not even a problem. All the stuff on Corellia as he's trying to navigate Imperial like rules and laws and the bureaucracy, that's fun because it's just like it's a nice little, like, they're always present. They're antagonists. Nobody likes the Empire. Everyone hates them. They smell.
Do have a smell.
But like, I wasn't a huge fan. Like, I liked it, but from a writing and storytelling perspective, I'm like, why did it always have to be about the rebellion being born? Mm-hmm. Like, why did it have to loop back to, like, that's why they're getting the starship fuel?
And it did have the overall prequel problem where the stakes are kind of ripped out from under you because you know characters are going to make it to the end of the movie because they have to be in starting position in A New Hope or an Empire or whatever.
Well, it does put stakes on at least the side characters, but that's it.
So for the most part, you know, like, well, obviously they'll survive this. They'll survive this.
The only characters you worry about living and dying are like Kira and even Enfys Nest once you figure out what's going on there.
Yeah.
And Beckett. Those are the only three. I think if Beckett survived, that would have been cool too. Like if he just got away.
He's just somewhere.
Yeah.
Yeah, that'd be cool.
It's the issue, like with Rogue One. Like, we know they're going to get the Death Star plans, but did they really all have to die? Like, did all of them have to die?
I mean, how else are you going to explain how they've never seen these people again?
They wouldn't be involved with the rebellion anymore. Like, that's dangerous. Maybe they're off doing other missions. They're obviously the best Black Ops squad the rebellion ever had.
But they all died, so it doesn't matter.
My headcanon is that K2SO is part of the Death Star plans. Because he uploaded himself with them.
Okay.
Just like L337 is in the Millennium Falcon forever.
Yes, forever and ever and ever.
Mm-hmm, mm-hmm.
All right, so what do we got coming up next?
All right, so summer is starting. So that means we're going to start streaming more often.
Mm-hmm.
Keep an eye out for Mana Mondays and other various streams that we're going to try and do.
Yeah, I'm going to pick back up Stardew Valley.
Mm-hmm. I believe the next big thing for us is the month of June.
Yes, the month of June starts this weekend. On Friday, actually, and we don't have a thumbnail to tease this yet.
We don't.
But, unless you moved it.
It's June-rassic?
It's Jurassic June, although your name sounds better, but I already pitched Jurassic June. I like alliteration.
I do too. Alliteration is a big deal with our channel.
So, yeah, somewhere around here we have all the Jurassic Park movies.
It's on the other side of your computer.
Well, I'm not going to reach for it.
Yeah, all right.
Anyway, so Jurassic June, so starting on Sunday at 8 p.m. Eastern, we're going to be doing all sorts of different Jurassic Park related videos.
8 p.m. Eastern?
8 Central.
Okay.
Yeah, 8 Central, sorry.
We'll figure it out.
Yeah,
Westworld's still going on. We don't want to infringe on that, so we'll figure out the time properly.
Yes. Yeah, whatever doesn't infringe with Westworld because everybody will be watching that, not this.
Yeah.
But yeah, so Sunday sometime in the evening, we will be reviewing the first 3 Jurassic Park movies. Then the following Sunday, we're going to review the 2 Jurassic Park books.
Yep.
The following Sunday after that will be Jurassic World. And then the last Sunday in June will be the Jurassic World Fallen Kingdom review. So, yeah, every Sunday in June, something Jurassic related.
Yep.
So we're looking forward to that. It'll have a very similar format to this. We'll talk about memories and all sorts of good stuff. I got to reread the books because it's been a while for both of us. Have you actually read the books?
I read about half of the first book.
All right. Well, it's been a long time since I've read either of them, so I'm looking forward to that.
Billy is pointing out Incredibles 2 and Jurassic World Fallen Kingdom. Also, Hotel Artemis, which we have tickets to go see at our local Alamo Draft House.
Mm-hmm.
I say local. It's an hour's drive from here. Regardless.
Yeah, we get to go see that on Monday.
I think so.
Yeah, so that's exciting.
And then, like a few days later, we have tickets to a Big Lebowski party at Alamo Draft House, which I'm excited for as well.
Mm-hmm.
I'm hoping they have all sorts of fancy, like, specialty things for the show.
Yeah, it'd be fun.
Mm-hmm.
Anyways, that's what's coming up on our channel.
So, yeah, you can find us online. I am at The Spice Must Joe.
And I'm at _Mrs. Davis.
And you can find our communal Twitter account at Geek to My Nerd with underscores between every word. And find us there for other just fun junk that we talk about.
Yeah, if you like us rambling on and on about all things nerdy and geeky, then please give this video a like and subscribe to our channel.
Yeah, we would appreciate it. And then we can also bring you dumb Let's Plays that we do because they're fun and crazy, and we just talk about stuff while we're doing that.
Yep.
So, but because we, as par for the course, we really don't know how to end these kinds of things. So we're going to say goodbye, and we'll talk to you guys later, and have a nice evening. Na, 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 na.